Hello, BookTube. I've got a tiny bit of mail for you just to keep the mail streak going. Just a couple of packages that will get us to 5 minutes, thereabouts. You won't see any Frida on this overcast, humid, unseasonably warm afternoon because she had a night of diarrhea. First time that's ever happened. Started with her urgently wanting to go outside, her whole body trembling from control, and we went out. Of course, the one night that it happens in her entire life, it was pouring rain all night long, and she no sooner got outside than she let fly, and then waited a minute and then let fly again. And that went on at roughly 15-20 minute intervals for most of the night. I told her at one point at 3 or 4 in the morning, I told her, you can just go in here. I will clean up after you. I'm not upset by it at all. But she's more of a fan of dog training, of house training than I am. She's very neat. So she is not up on her perch. She is next to me, sleeping and recovering her strength. She has no interest in. She has precious little interest in food anyway, but she has no interest in food right now. Fortunately, she's not mentally changed. That would really do it for me if she were sick. This is obviously just a bug. It's something that she ate. But her attentiveness, her energy when we're outside is all just fine. So we just have to take it easy. I will give her something very gentle for her stomach later today. She can't go without eating at all, even if she doesn't feel like it. We'll give her something very gentle. We'll just allow her tender bits to recover. But so you won't be seeing her because she has no interest in being up. She wants to be right next to me for the next few hours. But we have a couple of packages. Who knows? Who knows what they might be? There might be more coming today as well. Let's see what this first one is. I'm hoping, of course, that they are finished copies for either the rest of October, although I'm buried for October, or November. November finished copies would be really good. Oh, okay. All right. What have we got here? Is this perhaps a November finished copy? Is that what you are? Wow, okay. Yes, this is a November finished copy. This is by Lloyd Clark, and it is The Commanders, the leadership journeys of George Patton, Bernard Montgomery, and Erwin Rommel. So the three commanders that are very familiar to viewers of the movie Patton. We got this. Okay, this has blurbs from everybody: Patrick O'Donnell, Andrew Roberts, James Holland. Wow. Okay, so this book charts the interlocking lives of three of the most important and consequential generals of World War II. Certainly, three of the most important and consequential generals of the movie Patton. I might point out again, the World War II was won on the water, not on the land. But I won't create heresy anymore. Born in the 2 decades prior to World War I, George Patton, Bernard Montgomery, and Erwin Rommel became among the most recognized and successful military leaders of the 20th century. At least the parts of the 20th century that watched the movie Patton. However, as acclaimed military historian Lloyd Clark reveals in his penetrating and insightful braided chronicle of their lives, they charted very different, often interrupted paths to their ultimate leadership positions, commanding hundreds of thousands of troops during World War II, and celebrated as heroes in the United States, Britain, and Germany. Did they chart very different paths? I'm thinking about the main talking points I know from the paths of each of them. They seem really similar to me. Let's see here. Patton was born into a military family and from an early age felt he was destined for glory. He also married into money from a Massachusetts family. Following a disjointed childhood, Montgomery found purpose and direction in a military academy. Okay, but so did Patton. Rommel's father was a former officer, so his pursuit of a military career was logical and was conducted at an elite military academy. And am I wrong in remembering that Montgomery and Rommel also married money? I could be wrong about those. Patton, I'm sure, but I could be wrong about those. Having ascended to the middle ranks, each faced battle for the first time in World War I, a searing experience that greatly influenced their future approach to war and leadership. When war broke out again in 1939, Montgomery and Rommel were immediately engaged, while Patton chafed as U.S. joined the Allies in 1942, and the three men, by then generals, collided in North Africa in 1943 and in the movie. She doesn't say in the movie, but the movie's hanging over this thing. And then again, climactically, in France after D-Day in 1944. So this book weaves letters, diary extracts, official reports, and other documents into an original narrative. And Lloyd Clark sounds awful familiar to me. He's a senior academic at the Department of War Studies at the Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst. And he's one of the UK's leading military historians and is the author of several books, including The Battle of the Tanks, which I read. Okay. Crossing the Rhine, I think I read that too, and Anzio, which I read. So I'm naturally going to be curious. I promise I won't obsess about this in my review, but I am naturally curious to know if the movie Patton is mentioned in this book at all. And this has at least an index. I don't want to know. I'm not going to check anymore to see if a modern work of history or biography actually has a bibliography. It's so shocking to me that so many of them don't, that I don't really want to spoil the moment. Patton. The first, the second, the third, the fourth, Patton Jr., mental health, Montgomery and media attention, slapping incidents, speech tour. But what about the movie? You going to tell me about the movie? Is the movie even mentioned in here? No. At least from the index, it doesn't look like it is. Okay, well, this comes out in the middle of November. That's good. I will put this on the pile and get to it right away. The middle of November is, in terms of, if you're a book section editor, the middle of November is hurtling towards us with asteroid-type speed. Let's look at the other package, though. One of these big white envelopes. Poor baby. She isn't even lifting her head when I'm tossing things past her onto the floor. Poor little thing. Poor little thing. Oh, great. Oh, fantastic. Okay, this is, I believe, also a November finished copy. No, well, October 25th. This is the end of the month. And this is the finished copy of Come Back in September by Darryl Pinckney. That is not Darryl Pinckney on the cover. That is a great member of my own profession on the cover there. Let's see here. When it comes to the literary culture of New York City over the past 50 years, the author has seen it all. His new memoir is a portrait of that world, and is as expansive as it is exhilarating. The book follows his coming of age in the bursting art scene of 70s New York, and the author, a critically lauded essayist, novelist, and longtime contributor to the New York Review of Books, is writing at full force. His clear voice and trademark erudition are on full display, recounting interactions with some of the most influential figures in the history of American literature. James Baldwin, Susan Sontag, William Burroughs, to name only a few. He treats each subject with care and compassion, but not always reverence. He critiques as much as he exalts, and we watch him transform from a spongy, eager college kid to an established voice in the world of letters. The book centers around Pinckney's close relationship with Elizabeth Hardwick, novelist, cultural critic, and one of the most important essayists of her time. This book begins in 1973 with Pinckney, a young black college student at Columbia, visiting Hardwick's Bernard College office and trying desperately to gain admission to a creative writing class the following semester. Here, she is Professor Hardwick, and soon she will be Lizzie, and Pinckney one of her closest friends and confidants. Fantastic. Okay, well, this is going to get reviewed everywhere come the time. This is the end of the month. I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see reviews of this. This is wonderful to have a finished copy. I will certainly be writing about it myself. Fantastic. Okay, well, we got two books for this little abbreviated mail haul. One from the end of October and one from mid-November, and both of them nonfiction. So we have Come Back in September. Fantastic to have a finished copy of this. And The Commanders, lauded by Lloyd Craig's fellow historians, all about the trio from the movie. George Patton, Erwin Rommel, and Montgomery. Looking at their past, that's Rommel and Patton are up on the top there, and that's Montgomery standing on a Jeep hood talking to his men. I've read the huge multi-volume biography of Montgomery. I've read 4 or 5 biographies of Patton. I've only read one biography of Rommel, but I wish I could remember what it was. It was really well done. If I can remember, I will put it down in the show notes, as it were. Only one of those, but he crops up in every book on Montgomery or Patton, so I feel like I've read more. Great. So 2 nonfiction works in the mail, both finished copies. Finished copies are what I am in the market for at the moment. So that is the mail for today from an ailing house. My poor little baby. Ooh. Oh, it's all right, baby. She's feeling under the weather. She's trying not to show it. She's not a soppy or an easily frightened dog at all, but she's feeling under the weather. And once again, when the first incident struck last night, it was around 9. And once we got outside and I saw what it was, I saw what was happening, I thought, okay, well, this is bad, and this is not going to be the only time that this is going to come in waves all night long until it works its way through her body. And it did. So, 10, 11, midnight, but around 3, 3:30, 3:45, 4, around those times when we were going out during those times, I was once again thinking my usual thought, which is, thank God I don't sleep like a normal person, or this would be completely wrecking me. Instead, I got to just do a lot of reading. I got a huge amount of extra reading done because that's what you do when you're sitting vigil on somebody you don't have anything to do. You can't let your attention wander too far. So you're right there. You can't get up and do things. So I got a lot of reading done, and that's what I was thinking about. I was thinking, what about all the people that I know, all of you, who would have had to work at 8 the next morning? You couldn't just blow it off. You couldn't delegate it to somebody else. You'd just be a wreck the next day. So I was grateful, and I'm also grateful that it does appear to be over. I was worried about that. Sometimes it takes a lot to get past something like this. Any of you who've ever had viral enteritis will know it feels like it's going to go on forever. It can go on for days and severely weaken and dehydrate the poor patient. In this case, not so. The closer we got to dawn, the longer the intervals got between the times when she wanted to go outside, the more peacefully she was sleeping on top of me on the bed until till now, where she is mainly concerned with just sleeping and recovering, and has had no, not to jinx things, but so far today, no desire to go outside at all. There's nothing left in her. There's nothing left in her tiny little body. I will keep you updated, but I have a feeling it's going to be smooth sailing for the weekend. So I will wrap this up for now. Just 2 books for the mail. No periodicals yet. I imagine there's more coming, but we'll deal with that tomorrow. So I will see you then. Thank you, BookTube.